You wake up and it's dead silent. No buzz from your phone, no plans on the calendar, just quiet. And honestly, it feels weird. Not really lonely, but this itch in quite like, do I even matter to anyone? Most guys, they freak out and grab their phones right away, scrolling or texting just to feel connected. Because society's got us thinking that silence means something's wrong, that if no one's hitting you up, you're somehow failing or not enough. But here's the thing, silence isn't some punishment. It's actually a chance to grow from the inside out. A guy who can sit with his own company, who's cool with being alone by choice, that dude's not weak. He's building something real and solid inside that nobody else sees. This isn't about being isolated. It's about finding your way back to who you really are, dropping all that need for approval, and growing into your own man. When you stop running and finally face the quiet, your mind gets sharper, your voice gets deeper, and your standards get higher. The crazy part? The second you stop needing people to prove your worth, that's when they start noticing you for real. That's the moment you stop living for others and start living for yourself. 1. Silence is not the enemy, it's the doorway. You know, sometimes what makes a man feel empty isn't the lack of someone beside him, but the lack of feeling that he matters. I've heard many people confide like this. When I wake up in the morning and look at my phone, there are no messages, no missed calls. The room is so eerily quiet that I feel invisible. And then, almost by reflex, many of us do the same things. Text an ex, scroll through social media hunting for a little interaction, or throw ourselves into work, parties, anything at all, just so we don't have to face the loneliness closing in. We've been programmed by society to think that silence is a sign of failure. No one reaches out to me, then I'm not good enough, not interesting enough, not worth remembering. But hold on, have you ever tried simply sitting with that silence? Not running, not filling the space, just staying still, breathing and listening? Because in truth, silence isn't the enemy. It's a doorway, one that opens inward. I often tell the men I work with that real courage isn't puffing yourself up to look fine. It's daring to be alone, unafraid of the emptiness, in no hurry to find someone who'll make you feel better. In that very moment, you begin to face your true self, the old wounds, the unanswered questions, the deep desires you once ignored. And instead of letting them scare you, you learn to look at them with kindness. A man who can sit in stillness, needing no spotlight, needing to prove nothing to anyone, that's the man who's truly strong. Because he no longer lives by other people's eyes. He's done playing roles. He is himself, whole, peaceful, and needing no permission. You know what's most wonderful? When you're quiet enough to hear your inner voice, you'll also know you don't have to chase anyone. You don't have to please anyone to feel worthy. Because ultimately, choosing yourself is always the strongest choice. And sometimes it begins with one very quiet morning. 2, most men aren't afraid of being alone. They're afraid of what solitude reveals. Here's something I often share with the men I work with. It's not loneliness that we're afraid of. What really scares us is what shows up in that loneliness. Many men are perfectly good at living alone. They eat alone, work independently, even travel solo all the time. From the outside, everyone thinks they're doing great, strong, free, self-reliant. But you know what? What they're avoiding isn't being physically alone. It's the rawness of their own soul. Loneliness is like a magnifying mirror. It doesn't just show you who you are, it exposes everything you tried to forget. The mistakes, the broken promises, the goals that were left unfinished. Loneliness makes you hear your own sighs more clearly. Remember things you thought you'd gotten over in the daylight. And in the silence, there's no one left to distract you from yourself. You can't pretend, you can't justify, you can't run. And that is what makes people afraid. Not the lack of company, but the confrontation with all the parts of themselves they've pushed out of the light. Someone once told me, the silence feels like it's choking me. I don't disagree. It won't kill you, but it will force you to face things. The guilt, the regrets, the moments you let yourself down. Not to torture you, but to remind you, it's time to deal with it. And right at that moment, there's a fork in the road. One path is to numb yourself, bury your head in work, fleeting hookups, short-lived parties. The other is to sit still, stay in that silence, and step into the journey of real growth. No one says it's easy. It's a brutal internal battle. But if you dare to stay, dare to look straight at it, dare to talk to the deepest parts of yourself, then you begin to forgive, to heal the old wounds, and slowly redesign your life, not on illusions, but on truth. Self-development doesn't start with reading every self-help book or attending every skills workshop. It starts the moment you're brave enough to sit still and be honest with yourself. No more excuses, no more blame, no more running in circles. Just you and the questions that have never had answers. But it's exactly at that beginning point that you build a solid foundation for real change. Loneliness is a test. Not everyone passes. But the one who dares to walk through it, who faces their own darkness, emerges stronger, deeper, and more grounded. Because they know exactly who they are, even when no one is watching. And that is real strength. 3. Detoxing from approval. Approval detox. Have you ever noticed? A lot of men today are caught in an addiction, one they don't even realize they have. It's not an addiction to drugs, video games, or alcohol. It's an addiction to validation, addicted to praise, addicted to the feeling of someone liking a post, sending a message, checking in, addicted to being seen as a good man, mature, the ideal guy. That feeling, it's sweet, no doubt, like a hit of dopamine to the brain, and slowly we start living for approval, not for ourselves anymore. We're always performing to please the boss, to earn the label responsible, performing in front of friends to keep the cool guy image, performing in relationships to avoid being seen as distant or not good enough. And the danger is this: we perform for so long that we forget who we really are. I once asked a very successful friend, if no one knew about your success, would you still want it as badly? He was silent for a long time. We trade away our identity, silence our own opinions, chase after outside approval, and in doing so, we slowly lose our inner freedom. This endless cycle keeps us stuck in fear of rejection, judgment, or being left behind. So how do we break free? The answer isn't easy, but it is clear. We have to detox from validation. Just like quitting a drug or alcohol, it's uncomfortable at first. You'll feel empty when the likes disappear, when no one praises you. You'll feel disconnected. But that's part of the mental detox, the process of clearing your mind from the habit of needing others to confirm your worth. Instead of waiting for validation, pause and ask yourself, does this truly align with my values? Am I doing this for me or for applause? If no one saw this, no one praised me, would I still do it? When you can answer honestly, you begin to taste freedom. You'll realize you no longer need to chase anyone's gaze. You'll dare to live by what you believe in and say no to what doesn't feel right. And most importantly, you'll rebuild self-respect, not based on likes or compliments, but on your values and your actions. Detoxing from validation doesn't make you cold. It makes you grounded, steady, no longer ruled by other people's opinions. And in that moment, you're finally free from the invisible cage society built around you. You touch something priceless, freedom within yourself. 4. Clarity comes from silence, brothers. In this increasingly noisy world, we men, we don't lack voices, we don't lack advice, we don't lack goals. But what we do lack is clarity. We're unclear about what we're really living for, unclear about what dreams are truly ours, and which ones are just others' expectations. Unclear whether we're doing something out of genuine passion, or just to be praised as ambitious. Why? Because we're drowning in noise, the voice of family. You have to be this way to be a real man. The voice of society. A man must be successful. He must carry the weight. The voice of social media. Everyone's moving forward. What about you? And every day we get pulled into this endless loop, striving, proving, achieving. But the more we run, the more lost we feel. The truth is, to find clarity, men don't need more advice. We don't need more applause. What we need is stillness. Sounds simple, but it's not easy. Stillness doesn't mean sitting alone scrolling through your phone to kill time. It's intentional stillness, choosing to disconnect from all the outside noise so you can reconnect with what's within. No social media, no performing to please, just you and the questions you've been avoiding for far too long. Who am I really living for? Am I working this hard because I truly want this, or just to be seen as impressive? If no one were watching, if no one expected anything, how would I really want to live? And if you sit long enough in that silence, all the masks start to fall. The goals others handed you, they start to fade. And slowly you begin to see clearly, this is who I am. This is what I truly want to pursue. And you know what? Clarity doesn't come from someone else telling you what to do. It comes from the moment you dare to be honest with yourself. A mature man isn't the one who always knows where he's going. He's the one who knows when to pause and ask, who's actually steering my life? What mask am I wearing to feel loved? Am I living a life I never really chose for myself? When you dare to be silent, that's when you finally hear the truest voice inside. That's when you find the courage to let go of what no longer belongs to you. That's when you begin to live a life that needs no performance, no approval. Stillness is not running away. Stillness is returning. Returning to yourself, to the version of you that doesn't need to carry the world, doesn't need to act, doesn't need to nod along. And you know what? In this journey of being a man, there is no map more accurate than your instincts and the clarity that rises from within. All it takes is the courage to be quiet. All it takes is the courage to listen. 5. The journey back to yourself, brothers. Have you ever felt exhausted from all the running? Running after attention, running to be understood, running to prove I matter, I'm worthy too. But the more you run, the more lost you feel. The more you try to please others, the more your sense of self begins to fade, little by little. Eventually you will get tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, but the kind that comes from living a life that feels like a performance. And that's when the journey back to yourself truly begins. It begins when you stop needing to explain, when you stop caring who's talking, who's judging, when you no longer crave applause, and you stop doing things just to be seen. You become quieter, but not weaker. On the contrary, that quiet is the foundation of your inner strength. Because when the outside world gets loud, the one who can stay centered inside, that's true strength. In stillness, you'll start to hear your own voice. The feelings you've long ignored, the desires you've never admitted, the questions you've been too afraid to face. Who am I? Am I living by my values or just trying to please someone else? A man who chooses to walk alone, it's not because no one will walk with him. It's because he's learning to walk with himself. He walks alone to reflect, to heal, to tell the difference between what he truly wants and what he's just been chasing for the wrong reasons. You know what, brothers? The light we need doesn't come from the spotlight. It doesn't come from applause. It comes from within, from trusting yourself, from gaining clarity when you stop chasing everyone else's approval. And when you dare to live that way, you no longer need permission to be yourself. You're no longer shaken by being misunderstood. You're no longer anxious when others turn their backs. That is freedom, real freedom, the kind that starts from within. This journey isn't easy. There will be moments of loneliness, moments you'll feel lost, but those are the exact moments when you're rebuilding your foundation, solid, grounded, unshakable by outside forces. Every time you say no to shallow validation, you're saying yes to your true identity. Every time you stand firm in your choice, even when no one gets it, you take one step closer to becoming the man you'll respect when you look in the mirror. Maturity isn't about how many people validate you. It's when you can look at yourself and say, I'm living truthfully and I don't need to act anymore. So if you're on that path, even slowly, even alone, you're going the right way. You're not retreating, you're returning. 6. When you choose yourself, the world will start noticing brothers. There's one thing I believe every one of us has gone through, that feeling of having to try so hard just to be acknowledged. trying to please others, trying not to disappoint anyone, trying to appear strong, kind, successful, just to be respected, to be heard. But the more we try, the more we start to feel like we're drifting away from who we really are. And then one day you're tired. You start asking yourself, who am I really living for? Am I even choosing myself in this life? Here's the truth, when you finally dare to choose yourself, that's when the world truly starts to notice you. Sounds backwards, doesn't it? Because ever since we were kids, society taught us that we have to be obedient, achieve, be praised. Only then are we valuable. But the moment you stop forcing yourself to be liked, stop chasing praise, you begin to live authentically. And when you live authentically, you radiate a very different energy, one of confidence that comes from within. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's strength. You're not living to compete. You're not here to prove anything. You live to be honest with what you believe in, with what you value, and with the path you choose, even if no one else gets it. When you're brave enough to say no to half-hearted relationships, to opportunities that don't truly align, when you stop fearing being misunderstood or left behind, that's when you become truly powerful. And here's the magic. When you stop chasing after everyone and everything, the right things start finding you. The right people will show up. The right opportunities will find their way. And you'll realize you never had to push so hard to get what's meant for you. Because what aligns with your true self will arrive when you are being your truest self. So if you're still trying to be noticed, trying to get approval, trying to maintain your image, pause for a moment. Sit down and ask yourself, what do I really want? Who am I living for? If no one praised me, no one acknowledged me, would I still choose this path? Those questions won't be easy to answer right away. But the moment you start being honest with yourself, you'll begin to see the greatest freedom isn't getting everything you want. It's being who you are without asking for permission. And then you'll understand the world doesn't need you to be someone else. The world needs you to be you, fully awake, grounded in your values, and unshakably yourself. When you choose yourself, you don't just earn the respect of others. You earn the respect of the one person who matters most, you. And that is the beginning of a life that's strong, steady, and deeply meaningful. If you found value in today's lesson, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share to spread this life wisdom to more people out there. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, because every experience holds a lesson. This is Sage Life Lessons, where we learn together how to live wisely and stand strong in a chaotic world.